Hey everyone, Vancouver Radio, episode 138. Rachel, hello!
Good morning! Actually, it's not morning. Oh, it's morning for you, it's evening for me.
I know, it's always so
4:15.
confusing, isn't it?
I know, I literally live down under.
But you're not standing on your head, are you?
No, but I am standing at my new standing desk. I copied you.
It's good though, isn't it? Because you can kind of dance and work.
Well, actually, yes, and I also bought this funky chair where it's like one of those kneeling chairs, although my shins now hurt if I sit on it for too long. So I have this like funky desk here, and it's like it's called a Vara desk. It's VARI desk, and I'm not sure if it's international, whether it's just Australian, but it's one of those. It's really cool. It's got like these handles underneath, and then I can like lift it up and down depending on if I want to sit down or stand up. So I've been doing lots of standing up, and it's so easy just to kind of go and get something from my file over there and then come back, and then so everything is now filed away, and so yeah, I'm all for this whole standing desk scenario.
It's good. I don't want to brag or anything, but I just press a button and mine goes up.
Oh, yours is more wanky than mine is then.
To be fair, they're all expensive. Standing desks, I mean, mine cost, I don't know about you, mine cost £500.
Yeah, mine was about $700.
Yeah. So, they're not cheap, but it's brilliant. I will spend like the first hour and a half of the day sitting, and then I'll stand, and then depending on what I'm doing, I'll try and keep standing through the rest of for the day. And the weird thing is, the big thing for me, when I sit for too long, if my back even starts to get a little bit fatigued, I lose concentration. Because all I'm thinking about is my back, and it really annoys me. I might have only been working for like 4 hours, and I'm like, my brain's got more in the day, like I've got more work to do, but because I'm thinking about my back, I actually don't get any work done because of my back. So my standing desk has massively improved my productivity.
Oh, it's exactly the same here. And it's so funny. I don't get anywhere near as tired either. And I'm not sure whether it's just because I'm now taking a lot more frequent breaks, whether it's just going to the kitchen to get some water or yet another coffee. Or it's, I'm just moving a lot more, and I'm finding like my concentration is so much better. My productivity is just like gone through the roof. So I'm a big fan of it, but I'm not sure about yours, but my desk actually sits on my original desk. So I'll take a photo of it and I'll post it on my page, but essentially it's kind of got two levels, and it's got like the little keyboard level underneath, and you can move the level on top. But all it does is just sits on top of my original desk. So maybe that's why it's a bit more. It's a bit cheaper than yours, but it's really cool.
This is a full-on desk. It's all in one, and it's really big. So I've got 2 computers on it and all my stuff. It's really big.
Yeah.
It's like half my office.
Yeah, and like I was reluctant to get one because I thought it was just going to be like this pokey little thing that just sat my laptop on, but it's great. I can actually fit 2 laptops on it, and it's long enough so that I can have like a piece of paper that I can write on here, and then my laptop is like far enough away. No, big like quality investment, these stand-up desks. Big fan.
They've actually started doing this in schools. And someone sent me a news link where there's one school in the UK that's like done this as an experiment, and they've noticed that the kids' productivity has improved because I think you end up just feeling more dynamic. Like we've just mentioned, you're kind of moving in it, and I know like working on a laptop feels like a static thing. Like you just sit and you type, but there's no reason why the rest of your body can't move.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'll do a little dance. Yeah, so right now I'm Irish dancing. You'd never know it. No, it's a joke. I can't Irish dance. In fact, I can't dance.
I can't dance, period. Unless I've had a few wines in me, and then I think I'm the world's greatest pole dancer. But let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not. People would have seen it already. We've released our seminar information for the 19th of June. Unfortunately, within about 24 hours, the practical sold out. But if anyone wants to come to the seminar portion of the day, tickets are still available. If you check on my website, bencoomber.com/seminar, all the information is on there. That's probably the easiest place to find it. And we are doing it all about training the female body. So yeah, it's just me and Rachel one day in London. Get there quick because tickets are going, well, actually really, really fast.
Yeah, faster than we kind of expected, but that's awesome. I'm looking forward to coming home and honing my British accent. And yeah, it's going to be a really good fun day. I'm sure we'll have lots of fun. It'll be good education, a bit of banter, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
And I've just come back from BodyPower. This is literally
Tell us
2
about
days.
BodyPower.
Do you know what? It was the first weekend I haven't been on the stage for quite a few years. So usually I speak in kind of the academy. I wasn't doing that this year. I just did loads of Q&As on the Jordan Fitness stand, who I'm sort of doing some work with in bits, and mainly because I think they're a great fitness equipment company. And like it's hard to find in the fitness industry, but I like them. The people that work within the company are really nice, are great to work with. So it's been quite a pleasure working with them. And then a load of my body type nutrition coaches, a lot of the new ones, were there on the Saturday. So it was just a case of me being there and talking to people, and people wanted to come, and I had so many people come up to me and say, "Oh, the podcast was brilliant. It's helped me do this." I had people come up and say, "You've literally turned my life around. You've given me the confidence to do this." So to have people there saying that kind of stuff to me, it kind of spurred me on. It was really, really, really nice to hear those things. And it just shows me that I need to get to more events and meet people and kind of just be around so that people can kind of share that story with me, really, because it's beautiful to hear. But the event as a whole was good. I got to meet some cool people. There was still plenty of people walking around. This really got me. It culminated where towards the end of the day on Saturday, I saw a guy wearing a pair of jeans, a nice pair of jeans, a nice smart pair of brown shoes, a lovely brown belt, a pair of aviators. Now, I would consider this man well dressed until you get to the final part. He had no top on. Now, who goes for a day out wearing all those nice clothes but no top on? I mean, this guy was in incredible
literally
shape.
No shirt on.
No shirt on. I mean, don't get me wrong. He was juiced up to the eyeballs, like half a BodyPower. But it was just amazing. Like, this is the only event in the year that you can go to topless. It's mind-boggling.
Why would you do that? Like,
I know.
Seriously, if someone has got a hot body, right, you can see it. You can, like, for God's sake, like, he could have worn just a normal t-shirt would have been a normal t-shirt would have been fine. Yeah. But even if he wore like a skin tight white rashy, surely that would have been better than shirtless.
Yeah.
It's beyond me. I cannot stand. Oh my God, I got pet hates at the moment. One of them is these snapback caps. They look absolutely horrendous. And the other one is the T-back singlets. I just cannot stand them. And I'm such a wanker when it comes to these things. I cannot just beyond me. So whenever we have them in Australia, and I'm sure it's the same in the UK, guys wear these T-back singlets, often with their pimple backs out, and they have their nipples on show, like their big juiced up udders, like hanging out of their singlet. It is absolutely revolting. Like, seriously, put that shit away. Nobody wants to see it. Really.
It just makes me laugh what people are thinking. Like, because, when I was at university, you'd think that if a female saw as much of your body as possible, that they'd want you even more. But if anything, that's kind of far from the point. So what part of me thinks, are these men doing it because they think they might pick up, or they're just that proud of their bodies that they want everyone to see that they've got veins running through their abs or whatever? It just, I don't know, the mentality amazes me. That there's just so much ego in the body. I don't know.
I don't like fitting. I don't like fitting in, so to speak. So, like, the last expo we had here in Australia was one down in Melbourne that I was presenting at, and I actually went dressed head to toe, like literally. So I was covered from my ankles to my wrists and up to my neck. Like, it's the kind of outfit that I would have worn in Dubai when I go and visit my parents over there. It was so conservative because I just don't like that whole scenario of just like exposing everything just because. Like, and look, I'm the first to wear hot pants in the gym. I'm the first to get into a bikini if I'm near a pool. But when it comes to something like that, I don't know, it just has like a different element to it. And I just think like fitness is lacking style. And, there are very few in the industry who actually have style, whether it be around fitness or, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, it's interesting. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about style and fitness. And, there's, I live in a really nice part of Sydney, and I could walk down a high street here and there's lots of yummy mummies around, and they're all dressed in a Lululemon and Lorna Jane and all these really nice outfits, and they look smart, and they just wear it with, I don't know whether it's a particular attitude they have with it or whether it's an air of confidence. And it's not an arrogance, it's it's a confidence, a body confidence that it's very attractive and it's very appealing. But yeah, maybe we should just bring style back into fitness.
Do you know who I think gets this really right in the fitness industry, and is the one of the only like fitness models that I really like and really respect, and I should probably try and get him on this show, is Steve Cook, the fitness model for Optimum Nutrition. I think the guy's funny, he's good looking, he dresses well. It's not all about him just being naked all the time and looking at me. He's really humble. He's just one guy that for me gets it all right, and there's not many fitness models that come even close. There's too many fitness models that are just like, look at me, here I am, this is my job. Steve's like, he just embraces the world. There's just zero ego around him, and I love it. I didn't get a chance to meet him at BodyPower. I didn't see him or come across him, and I was just ram myself. But I just think he's got it. Style, everything. He's such a man for it. It's
that X factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that conversation I actually had. It was with a friend of mine, Chris Dufay, and he currently lives in Bali. He's an Australian trainer and fitness model, but his style is phenomenal. Like whenever I see him, he's wearing like a beautiful tailored suit. He's in fantastic shape year round, but unless he's doing something where it requires him to take his shirt off, like he's generally in fantastic clothes that just fit really well, and he looks good all of the time. And it's very few and far between.
Yeah. Anyway, tangent.
Yes, we have one tangent.
And last thing I wanted to mention, the last 2 episodes of this show, you obviously haven't been on. I've had Dave Crossland on as a guest talking about steroids. Going to BodyPower reminded me, or even compounded, how many young people are using steroids. It's insane. Yeah. And really young guys, like really young, and physiques that are really hard, really dry, very veiny, and you can tell. I just thought it was quite fascinating. And I had a lot of people come up to me when they were talking to me, and they were like, whoa, after listening to your steroid podcast the last couple of weeks and walking around BodyPower, I can really see how this has exploded as a cultural trend.
100%. And actually, I listened to the first podcast you did with Dave, and I haven't got around to listening to the second one yet. But for me, if I was sat on the fence, that would scare me. Like the amount of detail that he went into, and it's like anything, the body is a very complex organism, and it's not just a case of taking one pill to boost testosterone. It's not a case of taking T3 to get to drop body fat. It's a hormonal cascade. So you need a complete cocktail of drugs in order to be able to look a particular way if you're going to use steroids. And I think that was the biggest thing that came out of that for me was, wow, like if I was a young guy, like that would scare me. Like if I was considering taking something, that whole scenario would actually scare me, and I'd put it all too hard past him. Well, fuck, I'm going back to lifting heavy and dieting, doing it the old school way. But it depends on the kind of look you're going for, I guess. But I think those 2 podcasts that you ran with Dave are just literally priceless. And please, like, if you're listening to this and you've got friends who are running cycles, please share that podcast with them, because it is so important.
Yeah,
it's not too late. It's not too late to listen to them either. I actually have a friend of mine who's used a lot of gear in his time, and he said to me, he said, "Oh, they're really good podcasts," So it's not too late, you know. You can never learn too much.
No, and it's not a case of me trying to be dogmatic in any way in that, but listen to that and you shouldn't do it. If people have listened to the podcast, that have realised that it was very open, very honest, there was no bias to it. If people are taking it, then just be aware of what you need to do to support the changes that are going to be made in your physiology. Like Dave said, there are some people that take it and have zero side effects. But it just depends if you're willing to take that risk, because I've worked with people that have taken steroids and their road to rehab was long, really long, like a good 100%. 18 months to 2 years of supplementing, nutrition, waiting, and it's expensive again. The gears taking is expensive and the road to recovery can be expensive. It's just like if I work with someone who needs a lot of gut work, those supplements can be expensive for quite a while, and Rachel will testament to that with all the stuff that she's had to do with her gut and stuff. These processes aren't cheap because the damage can be extensive.
And I'll just make a parallel here to anybody who's currently a bikini or a figure girl and you're prepping in a manner that is pretty extreme. Just realize that if you end up really damaging your metabolism, then there's a long road to recovery. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 months of just backing off in the gym. I'm talking, 6, 8, 12 up to 18 months of continuous work and input, and it is very timely and it is very expensive. So get it right the first time and be very careful. And interestingly, just on a side note there, I read an article on T Nation earlier, and it was by Christian Thibodeau, and I haven't had a chance to share it yet, but the title of the article was "Why Are You Competing?" And I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to share it on my social media, but it was a fantastic article that really got to the crux of this trend that is now getting on stage. Or perhaps I will just share a small insight. But, Christian's point was that unless you've got one of the best physiques in the gym, you should not be even contemplating stepping on stage. You really should be doing months and years and years and years of groundwork to actually get yourself to that stage, first of all, prior to competing. If we go back even like 3 to 5 years ago, the amount of bikini girls that were on stage were, you maybe get 10 on stage, and now you're faced with like 35, 40 girls in one category. Like, this is insane, and some of these girls don't even look like they train. So we need to start setting smaller goals, and really focus on, first of all, becoming the best physique of the gym, and then perhaps if you want to go and consider competing, really looking at doing it that way rather than just jumping on this bandwagon of, I'm a physique and a dieting bikini competitor, because quite frankly, no one wants to see your fucking egg whites on Instagram every day. It's boring. And the only reason why people like it is because they're trying to support you and they're trying to be friends. So I'm just cutting to the chase here, and this is how it is. So I will post that article because it was very interesting.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, and the competing world is a strange one, and I think like steroids, it's riddled with issues of body dysmorphia and people believing that to get that physique, that has to be the goal. Like, that's almost the pinnacle, that you have to have stepped on stage and you have to have done this stuff. Now, I'm not taking any of my respect away from the people that do well at this kind of stuff, but its popularity, great, has increased, and it's great to have a goal, but a lot of these people deep down really don't want to do it as an end goal. They just see that they should do it. And I think people need to work harder at these kind of internal reasons as to why they do these things, because, I might want to look like I step on stage some of the year. I might go, do you know what? I'm gonna get into that kind of shape. But to kind of pat myself on the back, I don't need to actually step on the stage. It doesn't have to be something that I do, because for me, it's just for me. It's not for everyone else to go, oh, well done, Ben, congratulations, you did it. No, it's just for me. It's got to be personal, it's internal. So I think part of the reason is that people have to, or feel like they have to prove it, to other people. They have to show it. They have to get the picture. I think we've talked about this quite a lot with Phil Lerney. Phil, he hasn't done it for a while, but he used to set photo shoots as his goal. So rather than stepping on stage and going to that, we'll call it a bit more of an extreme, you just have a shoot. It's something that's a bit more personal. Yeah, you're going to share the photos with others, but really the photos for you. It's like, that's when I got into that kind of shape. So I'm not saying that these shows are bad. I just think there's just too many people involved in this prepping environment that are doing it for the wrong reasons. It's not true to themselves and the goal that they're trying to achieve and who they're achieving it for.
100% agree. It's just, and in some cases, and I'm not saying this is all cases, like, there are some people out there who are, genuinely fantastic figure and bikini and athletes and bodybuilders, and that's great, and it's their thing. But I also meet too many on the other side who are essentially, it's just a masked eating disorder. And, in the off season, they blow out to sort of 10, 15, 20 kilos off stage weight. And it's such an unhealthy way to live. It really is. And, they can't get their headspace right until they know they've got a show coming. And that screams an emotional eating issue. Anyway, we digress. Should we get on with some questions?
No, you've brought me on to another point. I want to get this off my chest, actually. So being at BodyPower, I did Q&As across the weekend, and I was still amazed. There was a lot of people that follow my work, and they came to the Q&As to ask more questions. And those kind of people had some really quite nice, intelligent kind of, discussion points, and we really kind of went there. And, there was still so many questions, I'm assuming, of people that don't really follow my work and maybe a bit new to the industry, but there's still an incredible amount of misinformation out there. And I talk to PTs all the time that don't put information out online or don't share information because A, they either assume that this information is gospel, that people just know it because they know it, and B, because other people are doing it. So for example, a PT might not write an article on carb cycling because I might have done an article before. And they're like, well, Ben's written an article, so it doesn't really need to be said. No, the more people that say this stuff and write blogs and do videos, the more people we can help and educate. I was getting questions in these Q&As like, how do I lose my belly fat? Just the real kind of stuff that we just keep going over and over and over as fitness professionals, and trainers just assuming other people should know. But there's 95% of the population that still don't know the basics around nutrition, and that's why we need personal trainers to be going out there and sharing their own blogs and their own insights and their own knowledge to help people. Trainers get into the profession to help other people. Brings me on to my second point. If you don't know how to take someone through contest prep healthily, do not do it. I have probably had about 10 people over the weekend come up and speak to me and said, I'm now working with your coach Stephen Box, or I'm now working with this coach. I say Stephen Box because he's our key prep coach of Body Type Nutrition, and he coaches a lot of clients of this nature. But I'm now working with this coach, and the coach I worked before ruined me. And I had loads of people coming up to and telling me this, and it just made me disheartened that anyone can diet someone. You put them on fucking chicken, fish, spinach 6 times a day, whatever, and 1,500 calories, they're going to lose weight. It takes no brain scientist to do that. But to do it healthily, to manage the stress, to periodise the training, and to properly reverse diet them, that's where the skill comes in. And it's not just about skill, it's about bloody responsibility. It's about taking responsibility for the client that has paid you money to take them to a goal. And it's not just about the day that they compete, it's about the 6 months afterwards. So Rachel talked about hormones earlier. And there's a research paper where they've done a case study on a bodybuilder that did a prep. And his prep was it was quite long. It was like 5 or 6 months. I think it was like the kind of typical 16, maybe 20 weeks. And they tracked his hormonal profile coming out of it. Now, this was a scientific study where, in theory, they did everything right. They reverse dieted him properly. They brought him out of his training properly, etc. And his hormones took 6 months to return to a baseline. 6 months. And this guy did it properly. Now the chances are he finished his diet, went into off-season to build muscle, and then started to diet again. So we could argue that people that compete in currently that are natural are not going to have normal hormonal profiles. We can probably bet that everyone's got a faulty hormonal profile, everyone's got impaired libido, everyone's not sleeping properly, everyone's not training to maximum intensity. And that's a problem. And its root cause is misinformation and bad trainers and people not taking responsibility and care for both their own actions and the actions that are made by others, i.e. trainers.
And like, look, let's put this back onto the actual clients as well. Like Ben just said, just take responsibility for yourself. If when you start to do a prep for, say a bodybuilding or a bikini show, you should be researching before you even consider what is involved in it. Just get online. Just start Googling this stuff. Find out what other people are doing. And so you should have a pretty decent idea of what's involved in your prep prior to going into and finding a trainer. And if you then find a trainer who immediately, 16 weeks out, puts you on a white fish and asparagus diet, alarm bells should be ringing. And this is your responsibility. You are responsible for your actions. And yes, you're being guided by somebody else, and we can blame all these coaches. But the truth is that it does come down to being a smart individual and really placing the onus on yourself and take responsibility and really find a good coach. And like I said, we've talked about this in the past, you get what you pay for. You really do. And if you've got a coach who's going to leave you on the day of the show, not on. Like, I don't prep girls anymore, or guys. I've done a few guys, but I don't prep girls for shows anymore, because it's not my area of speciality. It's not an area that I've stayed particularly upskilled in. So therefore, and it's certainly not an area that I'm passionate about. So therefore, I don't do it. And if I were to, then I would make sure that I would have, I'll draw a parallel here. One of my girls, Roxy, she's an MMA fighter, and she came to me. I've just posted a photo of her actually online. She came to me early April. She was 74 kilos, and she was contracted to fight at 61.2 this Friday. So she's come to me today at 64 kilos. She'll have a fairly easy water cut now to weigh in. The truth, with Roxy, I've said to her, I'm not with you for these next 8 weeks. I'm with you for the next 16 weeks at an absolute minimum, because I need to reverse diet her. If I'm going to cut that much weight off her that quickly, and I mean, look, she's committed, and she's an old client of mine, and she's now turned a professional athlete, so she's committed to that. But there's no way that I would take on somebody, get that much weight off them in such a short period of time and then just leave them to their own devices. So, I sat down with her today. Today's Tuesday. She's fighting on Friday. And I went down and I actually discussed her reverse diet with her so that she knows exactly what she has to do. After she weighs in on the day, she knows what she's got to eat on Saturday. She knows what she's got to eat on Sunday. And then she starts her reverse diet on the Monday morning. And, she's with me then for another 8 weeks. And that's part of her contract.
Yeah.
You falling asleep there?
No, I thought I would expand a bit more, but I don't want to kind of keep nailing the coffin closed, because I think we've made our point. I just think, the personal training industry, we're sitting here complaining about things, complaining about a lack of knowledge, but it all still comes down to personal responsibility. You mentioned the responsibility of the client. If you've got a prep coach or a coach of any respect, and they're not doing what you think they should do, you have to question them on it, especially if you're paying them good money. Someone's paying me X amount a month and they're not happy. I expect them to tell me that the service I'm providing them is not up to scratch. It's just like I always ask people that are on our academy. It's an education program. It's not a lot of money, but it's a significant amount of money for people every month to go through their education. I always make a point of asking people, are you enjoying it? Are we doing enough? Is it the service you expect? And people should be doing the same with anything else. If you went to Curry's and bought a TV and it didn't work when you got home, you'd take it back, or it was faulty in some way. And we still need to have the same level of personal responsibility for the things that we're trying to do and achieve and pay for, because it's our good money that we're parting hands with. And again, coming back to the coaches, if you're not doing this responsibly, you have to ask yourself why you're in the profession. There's a lot of people running around with a good physique, taking money off people to prep them because they are more interested in the money than people's health. And that's irresponsible, and that's a problem in the industry, and it's stuff that us as trainers argue and complain about regularly and get disheartened about, because it gives people like me and Rachel a bad name. You know, we get angry with these kind of people because they're running around just taking money. So when I sit down with someone, I'm like, right, this is how much I'm charging, and someone says, well, that person is charging the same. I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to do it responsibly. I'm not running around my shirt off telling you I can do X, Y, and Z. I'm just going to do my job and be there for you. Yeah, so it works both ways. We can't point the finger at any individual. The client has to be responsible and the trainer has to be responsible.
Unfortunately, you know, just it's so widely available as well. You know, training nowadays is so widely available and at a very cheap price. And I do get requests for, you know, for one-on-one consults and one-on-one, I guess, ongoing training. And most people come through referrals, so they know what they're expecting. But I often get some people who send me these long emails, and they're literally, they state how desperate they are. You know, my admin and my staff send back, you know, a pretty comprehensive reply. They usually includes a few tips in there on things that they can help themselves with. Then they, you know, a consult form and my prices for one-on-one training, if that's what I think it's going to take to help that client. And more often than not, I never hear back from that client. Or I get back an email saying, oh, well, I didn't realize it would be so expensive. And I'm like, well, you came to find me. I'm giving you advice and I'm trying to help you, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a price. You know, I've been in the industry a very long time, and you know, it's you get what you pay for. Simple as that.
You do. It's like the conversations we've had previously about me talking about pain, and there's so many people willing to live with their pain for ages, and I say, well, trust me, go and see a good osteopath. You'll pay 45, 50, 60 pounds for that hour, but he will probably have you fixed up in 2 to 3 sessions. You compare that to going to see a physio for 8 weeks, you haven't really spent any more money. You've probably spent the same, if not less, because people that are experienced can do their job more efficiently, quicker, and probably point you in the direction of the resources that you need or want for the self-learning that goes around this. So, you know, experience does cost money. It gets a result quicker, and that's why people who experience are in high demand.
Yeah.
So, yes, I did have one more rant, but
go on. Like as we're heading down that path, like just get it out.
So when I was at BodyPower as well, there was a huge amount of well, it wasn't huge. A certain amount of paleo foods and paleo food companies, which I think are great companies. They're usually rooted in very ethical beliefs. They really believe in people's health. They value what they're giving to their customers. But there is still a problem that persists in kind of paleo world, is that calories that are eaten do not count. And this is a problem because the paleo world is a big world. It has strong weight. There's a lot of people that believe in the movement, and I respect that because it's a real food movement and I love that. But there is a dogma around it that says, right, we're going to eat more fat, less carbs, and not count calories. And that is a problem. Paleo foods are usually very, very calorific. I bought these kind of like paleo muffin things over the weekend, and I was speaking to the lady, and I just said to her, I said, how many calories is in a muffin? She goes, oh, we don't count calories. And I was like, but okay, so why is that? Well, people don't need to. If you just eat clean and good foods, it all sorts itself out. She goes, I've never counted calories. And I said, but have you ever had to struggle with your weight? And she said, no, I've always been lean. I even struggled to put on weight. I was like, well, you're in a very lucky position. A lot of the people that are finding your products and are coming to seek your help do have this problem. They find it hard to lose weight, maintain weight, and control their nutrient intake. And I just thought, if you are in the health space, you have the power to do the right thing all the time. And sometimes the right thing isn't what you believe in. And that's a really important distinction about us as coaches, that we have to give the client what they need, and we have to set our dogma aside. It's like, say I follow X nutrition plan. That isn't the nutrition plan I give to my clients because it works for me. That's the nutrition plan I give to me. So there was lots of these companies over the weekend that were like, I don't count calories, we do this. And you look at the ingredients and it's like 250 calories for 3 mouthfuls. I'm like, that's 2/3 of a meal for a small female. You can't go around saying, just eat loads of this stuff, because it's absolutely rammed with calories. And the paleo movement obviously only has limited food choices, and a lot of these food choices that they make snacks with are very fat-based. Chocolate, nuts, coconut seeds. These are all brilliantly healthy foods. I'm not denying that, and I'm not denying the products and the value these people are giving. But you can't stand there and say calories don't count, just eat them because it's clean and it's paleo. Not when that freaking snack was 250 calories and the meal before you had that was 500 and you only eat 1,800 calories a day. It doesn't add up. So
100% agree, and it's actually been I was about to write a little rant on this on Facebook. It was scheduled to go out on the weekends, but you burst my bubble. And one of the first things that I do in somebody's nutrition plan is pull out all of these fucking paleo brownies and things, but they say, but I make them by hand, and I make them with whey and coconut oil and everything. I'm like, that's great, but you know what? To me, that's a waste of calories. I would much prefer to see you eat a steak and vegetables. I would much prefer to see you eat some eggs with some ham made into an omelette with vegetables. I would much prefer to see real foods. And they say, but it is real food. And I'm like, yeah, but the satiety that you get from eating one of these golf ball sized protein balls, which has sometimes in excess of 300 calories, to the satiety that you get from sitting down and eating a whole meal, the two are just uncomparable. Which brings me on to a point as well. I actually don't like smoothies. I do not recommend that my clients drink smoothies. Now, that is a little bit of a blanket statement. So okay, we'll bring it into context. In my Aesthetic Fox Blueprint plan, there are smoothie options there, but they're to be used if you're struggling for time and you're really on the run. This is the best worst case scenario, as an example. But I do not recommend that my girls in particular have smoothies for breakfast every morning. And it's different if you're a guy, I think, and you want to just pack in as many calories as you can. But the reality is that for females in particular, and look, maybe this is just, I don't know, this is just a common theme that I've seen in girls, is that if they have something sweet like that first thing in the morning, even if they only, they're throwing bloody coconut water and the latest fairy dust and all sorts of shit in there, this ends up being quite a sweet treat, and therefore they then crave sweet stuff for the rest of the day. Whereas I'd much prefer them to have something savoury for breakfast, and something that's something you can actually sit down and eat, and the brain can register that they're actually eating. So, these, in terms of the paleo stuff, I agree. It's good stuff. And if you're on the run, and if you are someone like BodyPower, and I know what it's like being at expos and events like that, you can't always get readily available good food. And so therefore, if you need a snack, and if your snack is 300 calories and you're really in between meals, it doesn't matter. But these things really shouldn't be a staple part of a nutritional plan. I think calories should come from other sources.
Yeah, we can't ignore the basics of nutritional science in this kind of argument. And this was rammed home in that one of the key themes that I was talking about in my Q&As, because it kept coming up across BodyPower, is that people were sort of talking about their level of results. And I said, look, everyone needs to go through a journey when it comes to nutrition, and real food needs to be at the pinnacle, the base of that pyramid when it comes to that journey. You need to be eating a certain amount of protein, you need to work out where carbohydrates and fats fall into your diet, and it needs to be predominantly meat, vegetables, nuts, fruits, seeds, dairy, that kind of stuff, and you build it up. Now, the more and more specific your results get, the more and more specific you have to get with knowing what your nutritional intake includes. So if you get to a half decent physique, for example, and you're sitting there and you're like, I'd like to improve my muscle mass a bit, maybe drop half a stone, you can't keep freestyling in the way that you do. You need to be aware of the numbers. You need to count calories and macronutrients. You need to be aware of how much protein you're getting every day to making sure that you're hitting these targets, because the body will respond to that in the specificity that you expect to it. It's like, if you ask a cover model what he does with your diet, he does everything right. He knows what goes into his mouth. He knows what he's doing that day with his training. He knows how many hours of sleep he gets. He knows how much water he gets. And that's the level that you need to gravitate more and more towards if your goals become more and more specific. So I had a load of questions over the weekend that were like, I've hit a bit of plateau in my training. I don't know what to do. I kind of eat clean and I do this. And I'm like, well, how many calories do you eat? He's like, well, I don't count calories. And then there was like a but. And I was like, but what? Like, you're now at a point where your goals need to take you to a more specific level. You've got to get more specific about your diet. I said, if you're not dropping body fat and you don't know how much is going into the pie hole, then you need to account for that. It's just simple science. We can't argue it.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of people try and run before they can walk. A lot of people try and, I'll use an example. Classic lady comes to me. She's usually in one of my membership sites, probably 10, 15 kilos overweight. And she said, Rachel, my diet plan isn't working. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? She can tell me exactly the calories, etc., the calories, grams of carbs, the fat and stuff that she's eating. The reality is that there's so much anxiety based around that nutritional plan. She then ends up binge eating. So she's trying to run before she can walk. So with somebody like her, I take her back to the Just Eat Real Food in portion controlled nutritional plan. And guess what? She starts losing weight. When we've got her walking, then we can start her jogging. So that's when I'll say to her, you know what, those paleo brownies that you've been eating, let's just switch those up for something else. We then prolong the fat loss and it goes on a little longer. Okay, now she's down and she's probably about 3 kilos from her goal weight. That's now when we start implementing calories and really figuring out exactly what it is that we need to fine tune to get her to that goal weight. So, I guess the key point from this is don't run before you can walk, and just realize that unfortunately, a lot of people do jump onto cover model diets when they're 10, 15, 20 kilos from their goal weight, and we can see this, and this is particularly the American population. I consult with a lot of American girls who are eating egg whites for breakfast because that's what their favorite cover model does. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to work for them.
Yes. Rachel, we should probably wrap up. I've almost
once every 6 podcasts we have one of these.
Yeah, I've almost exhausted my ability to rant. I feel like I should take my foot off the gas and give people a break.
I was going to write a blog post. No, I'll keep it as a blog post. My blog post is going to be why I don't want to work with you as a client. So, and it'll list my traits of the successful client and the unsuccessful client, or the client who is not yet ready for coaching.
Good blog, like it.
So I'll keep it there.
I think Dan Meek wrote a blog on the Body Type Nutrition website a while ago on that topic.
Did he?
Yeah.
I should probably go have a look at it then.
10 to 12 weeks ago, he sort of talked about why you're not ready to be coached, that you haven't just mentally got to that place yet. You think it's going to be a bit of a magic answer. A coach isn't there to motivate you. They're there to support you and give you a little inspiration. But, we don't have a magic motivation whip. It doesn't exist. Yeah. That's why I talk so much. Well, we all do. We talk about internal goals so much. Anyway, Rachel, let's wrap up.
Okay.
Let's keep this on the D-Lo. We did have loads of questions, people. We've obviously answered none of those questions today. We just went on a massive 45-minute tangent, but that's okay, don't worry. We had a few things that we need to get off our chest. So if you're sitting there thinking I'd love to check out Rachel's work, please visit the athleticfox.com, where you can visit Rachel. All of my work is at bencoomber.com. When this show goes live, please engage with us on Facebook and Twitter. We've had a bit of a random session here. Please let us know your thoughts. Get involved in the conversation. I'm hoping we've talked about some points today where you've kind of gone, yeah, or no, I'm that person, I'd really like help, yeah, that is me, you know, where can I go and read something, listen to something, what's the best coach for me? We've talked about a lot of stuff, and if you want pointing in the right direction, then me and Rachel are obviously willing to do that. It's not a problem. If you haven't left a review yet for us on iTunes or Stitcher, please do so. That helps the show grow. Next week, I have Luke Taberski on the show. He is someone who is running, swimming and cycling from Morocco to somewhere else. Basically, it's really far. And I talked to him, who's an awesome dude. And then after that, me and Rachel will be back on the show and we'll answer all those questions we forgot about today.
And just a reminder that I'm coming over to Marbella and I'm going to be at the Body Type Nutrition camp in June. So I land on the 4th of June. So I will be there for the last couple of days. So I'm really excited about that. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I know Bennett's running like from the 1st to the 5th and over that weekend.
1st to the 5th, yeah.
Yeah, 1st to the 5th. So I'll be there, fly in on the 4th. I believe I fly in the morning. So I'm hopefully going to be there the afternoon of the 4th, and I'll definitely be there all day on the 5th. So it's going to be really good fun. So is that fully booked yet?
No, there's one space left. We're at 9 people, 10's our max. Ladies,
jump onto that. It's a female-only camp. It's going to be amazing. The guys at Body Type Nutrition and Ben's going to be over there as well. It's going to be a really fun camp. You're going to learn a lot. It's more of like a lifestyle camp as well.
It is.
So that'll be really good. And mine and Ben's seminar, just a reminder, is on the 19th of June, Friday the 19th. It's going to be in central London. Unfortunately, the gym aspect has been sold out, so the practical has sold out, but there are still tickets available for the actual seminar.
That's it, right? That is goodbye from me.
It's very theatrical today. It is goodbye from me, sir.
And we will see you on the next show. Ciao.
Ciao.
Hey everyone, Ben Cooper Radio, episode number 137. Now, in episode 136, I left you on a complete cliffhanger, and I apologise, but I can't have you listening to a 2-hour show. iTunes will probably shut me down. Anyway, let's not fluff about. You know the score. It's a steroid special for the podcast. I've got Dave Crossland.